you're in for a treat because the lady with me right now has been around the horn, so to speak. Her name is Kay Stout. She's the executive director of Paws of Veneta, and she's our guest for this segment of Perspectives. Kay, welcome.
Thank you.
Before we get into Paws, a little bit about you.
My background includes being an executive coach for almost 25 years, and then lots of involvement in nonprofit boards as a member of the board of directors. And I've always been passionate about animals, and after raising my children and everything that's going on, I wanted to make a difference in the world, so I got involved in the nonprofit world running organizations.
Well, that's a strong enough background right there.
Thank you.
You're fairly new to Paws, are you not?
Yes.
What is it? What is the organization? Help the folks at home understand.
Sure. Peaceful Animal Adoption Shelter came about as the result of a tragedy in that an animal control officer killed a person's cat, and she was angry and upset. It shouldn't have happened. She wrote a letter to the editor. We all know how those can happen. Some people read it. They kind of got concerned. Citizens got together. Give it 3 years, and the next thing you know, they're a 501c3, and they're going to open a shelter in Veneta, Oklahoma. I came on board in January of 2014. We broke ground on February of 2014, and we opened in April of 2015. It's a beautiful one. It's a huge building, 7,000 square feet, designed originally to adopt locally the dogs and cats that are homeless in that area. As a result, yes, that's us. As a result, that wasn't happening. We had a great supply and no demand. So then what we went to was transport, which is what you're seeing here. And we, as of tomorrow, when we go to Colorado again, we will have done over 450 dogs and cats to Colorado. And
let me interrupt you just a minute.
Sure.
This was shot by Tim Stevens. You just saw him in passing there in the background. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, he's done a great job for us. He captured the essence of who we are. And those dogs are all loaded. They'll go overnight, and then the next morning they'll be at Denver Dump Friends League, and from there they'll go into homes.
I think that's wonderful.
It's fantastic.
You know, I don't know that folks at home realize we have a serious problem here with abandoned, neglected, and abused animals.
Yes, we do.
And you are going to be in a position to seriously address it for your part of the state.
Yes.
How bad is it around Veneta?
It isn't as bad as it was, but it's still not good. We've made a distinct difference. If you talk to our chief of police, he will tell you, and the people that live in the city are saying, oh, I don't see as many dogs and cats running homeless. But we did a trap, neuter, release program, which you could, if you had feral cats, we would trap, neuter, and release them. We do a low-cost spay-neuter program, thanks to a grant. And then we do as many spay-neuters as we can. Of all the dogs that come into us are spayed and neutered. It is a horrible problem in our part of the state. I think my frustration comes from the following. You know, in Oklahoma, at the Murrah building, after that bombing, we set the Oklahoma standard for rescue of people in a horrible event. I don't know why we can't do the same thing for animals. It just blows my mind. We should be able to rally around, get a good spay-neuter laws, really get a handle on it, and stop this breeding of animals, and nobody wants them.
I have a friend with the Oklahoma-Texas enforcement arm or branch, if you will, of the Cattlemen's Association.
Yes.
And it's his job to catch rustlers.
Yes.
Shortage of manpower is one thing, obviously. He's handled so many different sites and investigates so much, and it's up to the sheriffs of the various counties in Oklahoma and Texas to report to him what's going on. But he and I in discussions have had, and he's pointed this out to me numerous times, folks think, well, it happens only in town. It happens out of town. A lot of times, farmers and ranchers are the ones that get dumped on.
Yes.
They'll take an animal out and dump it on his property and leave. So you see a lot of that, don't you?
We do, and this last, I was at an FFA meeting the other day at Veneta. I'm on their board of directors. I believe in their organization. And one of the couples there are ranchers, and she told me, she said, Kay, you're making a difference. We've only had 4 dogs dumped this year instead of 10.
Really?
So every time those people have a dog dumped, they can call us. They'll have to go in through our Veneta pound, but they go into the pound, and then we pull from the pound. And our chief of police will tell you, they have not euthanized or killed dogs at the pound except for aggression and illness. We've been able to save all the adoptable dogs.
All right, now, right there, you
Yes,
just
sir.
brought up a point I want the folks at home to hear more about.
Yes, sir.
Particularly the folks in the Veneta area. Say somebody out there wants to adopt an animal, or is at least interested in it. Can they come to Paws, and you'll direct them on the procedure?
We will. If we, right now, I can say if we have an animal in the facility, because at the moment we're able to transport out of state everything that comes in our door. So then what I do is I refer them to Pryor, to Grove, to Miami. Every place, please go find an animal in those shelters, because all of them are full. We're lucky in that we have the facilities and the opportunity to transport ours out of state. I never thought we'd be that successful, but we are.
Define for me why. When you say transport them out of state, where are they going and why?
Denver, predominantly to Denver and some to Cheyenne, Wyoming. I love to network, and I had met Roger at a conference of animal welfare people in Oklahoma City.
Who's Roger?
Roger Hasten is with the Animal Fund in Colorado.
Got it.
When I realized we could not adopt locally because the demand was not there, we had a supply, we had no demand. I reached out to him, and he referred me to the Denver Dumb Friends League, Boulder Valley Humane, and then I knew the person in Cheyenne, Wyoming, because I grew up in Wyoming. And so I reached out to them, and it was interesting because at first they were a little hesitant to take our shelter dogs, because sometimes shelter dogs can be a little angry and aggravated because they've been in shelters. But I have people who come in and work with our animals every day, and so the dogs that they get are highly socialized for being shelter dogs. And so we now, when we can pull enough dogs in, we can do at least three transports a month to Denver Dumb Friends League.
That's incredible.
And they're all adopted. It's almost as soon as they come off the car, off the truck.
Are you finding the community in Veneta
Yes.
susceptible to your pleas for, I'm assuming since you're a 501c3, are they responding to that?
They respond extremely well to the need for supplies like dog food, cat food, and so on. As with any organization like ours, operational costs are always sometimes very hard for people to understand. And fortunately for us, we have a board of directors and a group of people that understand that, and so they're able to help us. And then we've been fortunate. We've already had a grant from the Flint family, and we've had one from ASPCA Subaru, and we're applying for another one here coming up this next week for a large transport.
Sounds like you really have a handle on things.
I think so.
What do you need more than anything else besides money?
We need everybody to step up to the plate and take their dogs and cats and have them spayed or neutered. If someone would come to me and say that I'm going to make my town a no-kill town, Austin, Texas is a no-kill of adoptable animals. Think about that. It's because the people there have taken responsibility and they spay and neuter their, honestly, that to me would be wonderful. Because here's my long-term goal. We're now have signed a memorandum of understanding with the prison there, the Northeast Oklahoma Correctional Center. They're going to train our shelter dogs, and those shelter dogs will become good citizens. And then those who meet an assessment will go on to be what we call companion or alert dogs for people with PTSD, autism, epilepsy, and so on. So we're excited.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks
Really
for having
appreciate
me.
it. And tell the folks up there we said hey.
I will.
And down the road, we'd like to hear more from you, okay?
I'd love to. Call me anytime.
You got a deal.
Okay, thanks so much, Sam.
All right. When we come back, she's an artist, a writer, a teacher, a photojournalist, video producer, and a close friend. Now she even has more irons in the fire. We'll have more on her right after this.